All right. So today we'll look at anti-epileptic drugs. Before we get into anti-epileptics, you need to know what is epilepsy. So epilepsy is a disorder. It's a chronic disorder in which um, the patient will have recurrent seizures. It's a brain function disorder because of which the patient generally has recurrent seizures. Their neurons will misfire again and again, leading to the phenomena called seizures. Okay? And it is often accompanied by episodes of unconsciousness. Sometimes it will also be unconsciousness and amnesia, or it will only be amnesia without any unconsciousness. All right, just hold on 1 second. Yeah, so as I was saying, epilepsy is essentially a chronic disorder in which the brain function is impaired, and as a result of recurrent seizures, there will be brain damage, and it will be accompanied by episodes wherein the patient might go unconscious, or they might suffer from amnesia, or both. Okay. Now, if we talk specifically about seizure, seizure is how should I put it? Seizure is a alteration in the behavior of your neurons. Okay. Essentially, what will happen is many neurons or group of neurons in your brain, they are functioning abnormally. Specifically, they are firing abnormally. Now, normally, whenever action potential is generated, an impulse is generated, motor impulse, let's suppose, or sensory impulse, whatever it is, it is going from one axon to the other. Now, if that axon, let us suppose we have two neurons in this scenario, neuron 1 and neuron 2. ठीक है, यहाँ से information जा रहा, then it is reaching, or let me put it this way, one action potential is reaching to the axon terminal of neuron 1, then from dendrite of this thing neuron 2, it is being carried over. Right, this is how it is happening. One is being stimulated, then the next will be stimulated, and that time what will happen is the presynaptic neuron, the first one that is, will be under rest. Okay, it will be in refractory period, absolute or relative refractory period, where it will not depolarize generally. Here the problem is, number one neuron is firing again and again, erratically and repeatedly, without any proper stimulus. It is getting, even if there is stimulus, it is, uh, it is firing very abnormally, because of which the patient will have seizures. Okay, that is essentially the definition of seizure. There will be transient alteration in behavior of those neurons. Okay, transient in the sense at one time it will be normal, again it will be abnormal. So uh, it will kind of be cyclic, and these may spread to other parts of the brain as well, and depending on where it is occurring, uh, you know uh, you will see different types of seizures. So the effect of the seizure will also vary depending on what part of the brain is being affected by the seizure. So agar motor cortex affect ho raha, let's suppose motor cortex of your right thumb, which is being controlled by a motor cortex, let us suppose that is experiencing some seizure. You might see some jerking sensation or some weird sensation in your right thumb. ठीक है, अगर sensory area involved हुआ तो there might be paresthesia in that area. That area will go numb, or you might feel weakness in that area. So anyway, there is improper firing of those neurons, because of which there is improper sensory or motor impulse that comes to that location. Okay. Now, even though the exact cause of seizures is not known, what we do know is that generally people who have childhood trauma, specifically trauma during birthing process, head injuries, childhood fevers, and by fevers I mean like high grade fevers. Okay, fevers over 103, 104, which can lead to brain damage. All right, at one point, if fever goes beyond 103, it will lead to permanent brain damage. Okay, so childhood fevers, yeah, brain tumors, if the patient had meningitis, yeah, it might be drug induced as well. Sometimes drug abuse can lead to this thing, even if it is not abuse per se. Sometimes as a kid, some drugs are given to kids, like for their condition, whatever their condition is, for example asthma hai ya jo bhi hai, and over time what happens is, because of taking those drugs, they might develop seizures or they might develop epilepsy. In any case, there are several different types of seizures that you'll come across. Now, the broad classification is, they'll have two types of seizures: partial seizures and generalized seizures. You also have unknown seizures, but for now, we'll keep it simple. There are two types of seizures: partial and generalized. show you an image. Hold on. देखो ये है क्लासिफिकेशन ऑफ सीजर. पार्शियल को फोकल सीजर्स भी बोलते हैं, generalized seizures अलग रहते हैं. Now first of all, coming to partial seizures, there are three different types of partial seizures. First of all, you have simple seizures. Now partial seizures, the definition goes that it will only involve one part of your brain rather than involving the whole brain. It will be very focal kind of seizure. It will only involve one small part of the brain or one lobe of the brain. Generally almost 60% of all epilepsies, so let's suppose you see 100 patients of 100 cases of epilepsy, out of them almost 60 people will have partial seizures or focal seizures. Now the first class under that will be simple partial seizures. यहाँ पर कॉन्शियसनेस का इम्पेयरमेंट नहीं होता, ठीक है. द पेशेंट विल बी कॉन्शियस, they will not lose consciousness in simple seizures, and generally these are manifested depending on the side of the cortex that is getting affected. So as I told you, simple partial seizures में इससे पहले जो example दिया था मैं आपको, if the motor cortex of your certain limb, let's suppose right thumb है या right hand है या left leg है, जो भी है, if the motor cortex controlling that area is involved in a seizure, there will be recurrent contractions of that area. If sensory cortex of that area is getting a seizure or it is involved in a seizure, you will feel numbness or you will feel paresthesia in that area, and this will generally last for about 20 to 60 seconds. That is a simple partial seizure. So simple partial seizure mein patient is not losing consciousness, they are having either motor problems or sensory problems depending on whatever part of their brain is being affected. For example, agar right leg ka motor cortex, the motor cortex which is controlling your right leg, if that is being affected, the patient will have twitching, contractions. Okay. If the sensory cortex, sensory area controlling that or sensory area that gets the information from your leg is being affected by a seizure, you will feel numbness or paresthesia in that area. Okay. And this will last for 20 to 60 seconds. Then we have complex partial seizures. Now these are the most common type of epilepsy. Okay, complex partial seizures are the most common. The most cases that you see of epilepsy will be complex partial seizures. In any case, these are characterized by purposeless movements. Okay, for example, the patient will their lips will be continuously shaking, or they will continuously have a swallowing kind of action, and this will last for a slightly longer period of time, 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Consciousness will be impaired, okay, or consciousness might be completely lost. They might become dizzy or they might completely lose their consciousness along with purposeless movements, okay. It might be rolling of their fingers, it might be lip shaking, whatever it is, okay. Some purposeless movement will occur which is involuntary, they'll not be able to control it. Then there are partial seizures with secondarily generalized seizures. So essentially यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, initially the patient is having a partial seizure, whether it is a simple partial seizure or a complex partial seizure. As it goes on, it will develop into a generalized seizure. Generalized seizures are seizures that will affect the whole brain, okay. All the parts, the whole hemisphere, both the hemispheres are being involved in generalized seizure, hence the name generalized. It is occurring in the whole area. Partial seizure secondarily generalizing refers to cases where the patient starts off with a simple partial seizure or a complex seizure. Essentially, they'll have a focal seizure. Wahan se they'll develop a generalized seizure. So initially, they'll show signs and symptoms of partial seizure, whatever type it is, and later they'll show symptoms of generalized seizure. Okay? So that is the third type of partial seizure. ये समझ में आया what are the three types of partial seizures?
Yes, sir.
I hope the rest of you understood it as well. If you have doubts or if you want me to repeat it again, please feel free to ask. Okay. Now, coming to generalized seizures, as I told you, 60% of cases will fall under partial seizure, so 40% will fall under generalized seizure, not as common as partial. Now, as obviously this will involve the whole brain on both the hemispheres, hence the name is generalized seizure. So the first type will not go into the types of absence seizures. I'll just tell you what is an absence seizure, because again it will get complicated for you. You don't have it as a disease per se. I'm explaining epilepsy because you need to understand epileptic drugs. Without understanding epilepsy, it will be harder. Okay. Anyway, first of all, coming to absence seizures, they're also called petit mal seizures. So petit mal बोलते हैं लोगों को, ठीक है. They're called petit mal seizures. Now these seizures essentially they will there will be a very sudden onset of this thing, uh, a sudden onset of impaired consciousness. Okay, they will not completely lose consciousness per se. How should I put it? Absent seizures will look as if the patient is just staring at something. Okay, you will not be able to judge them whether or not they are having a seizure, because there might not be any proper motor manifestation. For example, if a patient is having a complex seizure or a simple partial seizure, generally there will be some involuntary movement. Okay, there might be the patient might have jerking in their hand or something or the other. Okay, absent seizure may the patient might as well just be standing. Let's suppose the patient is crossing the road, and if they what do you call suffer from absent seizures, they might just stop on the road and just they might just start staring at something. Okay, they will not know that they are having a seizure, and you might not be able to understand that they are having a seizure. They will show some typical signs in absent seizures. Their pupils will contract and certain things will happen. In any case, only if you check the patient will you know that they are having an absent seizure. Otherwise it will look like a patient who is just staring at something. Okay. This episode will last for less than 30 seconds, and more often than not what will happen is the patient will forget. They will have amnesia about that, so they will not realize that they just stood there and they were staring at something for 30 seconds or 1 minute. Okay, I hope you are understanding here. Some person who is just, let's suppose, randomly walking on the road or just sitting, reading something, or doing whatever they want to, they just start staring at something. Okay, they stop all movement and they just simply start staring at something without any movement. That is a absence seizure. Okay, it does not mean that people who are just thinking and staring at something are all having absence seizures, but in the absence seizures you will see specific changes in their pupil as well. In any case, these episodes will last for about 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds, and they'll come back to consciousness after that. During this time they will not lose consciousness and they will not like completely fall down and things like that, but the consciousness will be impaired. Okay, they will not be able to make any conscious decisions during this time. If you ask them questions, they will not be able to answer. They will not be aware of their surroundings altogether in absence seizure. Then there is myoclonic seizure. Now, myoclonic seizures, these are very sudden and how should I put it? They'll be like shock like contractions. So the muscles itself, in a person who has myoclonic seizures, it will be as if the muscles are in shock. Okay, it may be limited to a part of the body, or sometimes it may even affect the whole body as such. That what happens is, whenever the patient has myoclonic seizures, generally there will be erratic contractions in their body. Okay, that is a myoclonic seizure. Then there is atonic seizure. Atonic seizures are also called drop attacks. ड्रॉप अटैक्स इन लोगों को इसलिए बोलते हैं बिकॉज देयर मसल विल लूज देयर टोनिसिटी. ठीक है, जो मसल का टोन रहता दैट इज लॉस्ट, and because of it generally their head will fall down or things like that. Their hand will fall down. They'll not be able to have any proper tone, muscle tone. Okay, postural tone is lost. They might fall down, head may drop for a few seconds, or the patient might itself drop down to the ground. They might fall down. Okay, because they are losing muscle tone. Now, whenever you are standing, there are certain muscles that are relaxed and there are certain muscles that are flexed in your legs, in your hips, so that you can maintain an upright posture even in your abdomen. Okay, just so that you are able to stand upright. Now, if your muscles are losing their tone, you will fall down. Okay, that is what is happening in atonic seizures. Then there is tonic seizures, very very uncommon kind of seizures. Tonic seizures will occur without any clonic jerking. They will not be jerking per se, but the patient will have spasms. Okay, slight twitching. They might have impaired consciousness, and generally what will happen is their muscle tone will severely increase. Specifically, जो extensor muscles रहते हैं. Now you know what are flexor muscles and extensor muscles. For example, if I talk with respect to uh, adduction of the bicep example. Okay, let's suppose I'm talking about adduction of the bicep, or you're just trying to move your arm up and down. Imagine you're just trying to move your forearm up and down. Okay, imagine you're trying to flex your bicep. In that scenario, your flexor muscle will be the bicep and the extensor muscle will be your triceps. Okay, I hope you are understanding the logic. This is the simplest example I could come up with. Imagine you are trying to flex your bicep, just moving your forearm up and down. ठीक है, while keeping your arm static. At that time you can feel that your biceps are contracting while your triceps are extending, they are relaxing. That is how you are able to move. In tonic seizures what will happen is there will be extremely high amount of muscle tone. Okay, and because of that the muscle will start having spasms, there'll be pain, and the patient generally will lose consciousness. There will be impaired consciousness or they might lose consciousness altogether. Okay, there will be no jerking reaction per se, as in they will not have a improper jerking reaction, but once it has contracted that muscle, once it has gone into muscle tone, very high muscle tone, it will start having spasms. Okay, so it might be painful. Sudden onset is generally maintained by increased tone of your extensor muscles. It will not affect the flexor muscles as much, but it will affect the extensor muscles quite a lot. Then there are clonic seizures. Clonic seizures are convulsions. ठीक है, clonic seizures are what you refer to as convulsions. इसमें the patient is losing consciousness completely, and there is loss of muscle tone followed by limb jerking. So initially what will happen is the patient will lose consciousness, they'll fall down, and when they're obviously, when you lose consciousness, either if you are sitting then it's fine, if you are standing you might fall down. Okay, if you lose consciousness, and what will happen is there will be sudden loss of muscle tone initially in clonic seizures. Immediately after loss of muscle tone, the limbs will start jerking around. Okay, involuntary jerks of that limb will occur. So it might be hands or legs, whatever. Sometimes it might be symmetric in the sense that it might involve both the limbs. Sometimes it will involve only single limb. You cannot exactly define. कभी कभी दोनों limbs में होता, कभी एक limb में होता. In any case, convulsions या clonic seizures में the patient will have transient episodes where they are not moving, then suddenly their limbs are jerking around. ठीक है, erratic moving movement रहता. Those are clonic seizures. ठीक है, that is more of a muscle problem rather than a nerve problem per se. Even though your neurons are involved, it is more of a muscular problem. ठीक है, convulsions. Then you will have something called grand mal seizures, which are tonic clonic seizures. Now these are combination of both tonic and clonic seizure. ठीक है, या जैसा टोनिक सीजर में विदाउट एनी क्लोनिक जर्किंग हो रहा था, यहाँ पर क्लोनिक जर्किंग होती, तो इनिशियली द पेशेंट विल ऑब्वियसली लूज कॉन्शियसनेस इन दिस टोनिक सीजर में द पेशेंट इज लूजिंग कॉन्शियसनेस. After that, as soon as they lose their consciousness, what will happen is there will be muscle contractions. The seizure itself will occur in two different phases. Initially the patient will experience a tonic seizure, then they will experience a clonic seizure. ठीक है, वो cycle में जाता. So initially the patient is having a tonic phase wherein the muscle contractions, there will not be muscle jerking, there will be muscle contraction. So muscle spasms, facial muscle spasms especially, ठीक है, increased tone in muscular extensor muscles, that will occur. That will last for 1 minute, and after that 1 minute the patient will start having jerks. Okay, their limbs will start jerking around, and their muscle contraction will alternate with periods of relaxation. Okay, there will be jerking, then relaxation, then jerking, then relaxation. Okay, so that is the variance between a clonic and tonic seizure. तो एक के बाद एक होता tonic clonic seizure, and this generally will last for about 2 to 4 minutes after the tonic phase. The tonic phase is lasting for 1 minute. Clonic phase will last for about 2 to 4 minutes. Okay. Generally, the patient's CNS is very depressed and the patient will go to sleep. They are like completely out. Loss of consciousness to a degree where they will not be able to come back to consciousness for a while. It will take some time. Okay. And during that period of time when they have lost their consciousness, initially their muscles will contract. See, please be careful that there is a big difference between muscle contraction and muscle jerking. ठीक है, muscle contraction में the patient is only having increased muscle tone where their muscle is completely flexed. Imagine that. ठीक है, their muscle is completely flexed, and what do you call their what do you call how should I put it, their muscle tone is severely increased. यहाँ पर the closest thing that you might see is a spasm rather than jerk per se. This is the tonic phase. ठीक है, clonic phase में that tone will decrease, but the patient's muscle will start jerking. ठीक है, there will be erratic movements of their limbs specifically, and you will have certain periods of relaxation as well, along with periods of jerking. That will be the clonic phase. So it is a combination of both tonic seizure and clonic seizure. ठीक है, this type of seizure is also called grand mal seizure. ठीक है, it is named grand mal. ठीक है. Petit mal is the name for absent seizures. Grand mal is the name for tonic seizures. Then finally, you have a special condition in epilepsy, emergency condition called status epilepticus. Now, just like status asthmaticus, if you have ever seen a patient with asthma, or if you know any patient who has asthma, you will know that they carry anti-asthmatic drugs with them. Okay, it is mandatory that they always carry anti-asthmatic drugs with them, whether it be a inhaler or whatever it is, oral drug रहो दो, जो भी रह दो, they generally carry prednisolone or some drug with them. Okay, in what do you call, in this scenario where patients have epilepsy, it is advised to them that they also carry anti-epileptic drugs with them, especially because if they are, just moving around on the road, if let us suppose they start having a seizure, you will come across patients who will suddenly start having a seizure. In that scenario, what happens is, if the if the doctor is able to find, or the patient or the people on the road, they are able to find drugs, at least they'll be able to give the drug to the patient. Now, in certain scenarios, what happens is, even after administering the dose, even after giving the drug, the patient will not recover. They will continuously keep having seizures. Okay? Continuous and recurrent seizure even after giving medication, at least that medication where you are, how should I put it, the OTC medication that you are giving to a epileptic patient, if that is not working, you will have to rush them to a hospital. Okay, because those drugs will not be enough. Seizures are much more severe in this scenario. That condition is called status epilepticus. Okay, so a continuous and recurrent seizures without any sort of recovery of consciousness in between attacks. So the patient will have continuous attacks again and again. They will completely lose their consciousness, and they will need to be rushed to a hospital. That condition is called status epilepticus. Okay, so those are all the types of seizures, at least, that you need to be concerned with. Do you have any doubts, or do you want me to repeat any type of seizure? See, in generalized seizure, we discussed absent seizures, myoclonic, atonic, tonic, clonic, and status epilepticus. Status epilepticus बाद में आता, it is not part of generalized seizure. Okay. Now, coming to the drugs involved in anti-epileptics, the first drug that is very commonly used, it comes under a class called hydantoins. It's called phenytoin. It has a lot of drug interactions, so we have already seen a lot of drug interactions with phenytoin. I'm sure आप लोग hospital में भी गए थे, you might have seen patients who are already on phenytoin. ठीक है? Uh, this is one of the most effective drugs against seizures, especially in case of generalized tonic-clonic seizures. Grand mal seizures में बहुत अच्छा काम करता. It will also work very well in partial seizures. If the patient is having focal seizures or partial seizures and grand mal seizures, दोनों में बहुत अच्छा काम करता. It is useless in absent seizures. It will not work. ठीक है? Phenytoin essentially delays sodium channel recovery. Now keep in mind, seizure is occurring because of misfiring of a neuron, right? Essentially, misfiring से ज़्यादा you can attribute it to repeated firing of a neuron without any proper rest. Overstimulation of a neuron is what leads to seizure. Okay, that same neuron is being stimulated again and again, and it is erratically giving out action potentials. It is giving out impulses erratically, because of which the patient is having a seizure. In this scenario, one of the best things that you can do is, or one of the only things that you can do is, stop the transmission of action potential. Okay, how you do that is by influencing the neuron. Specifically, you influence the ions that are involved in generation of action potential. Now, if you remember, in, I think when we were discussing about local anesthetics or general anesthetics, I told you sodium, potassium, इन दोनों का movement में बोला था आपको. There is another molecule called, another ion called chlorine, that will be involved specifically in stoppage of action potential. Generally जब sodium rush in होता है and potassium बाहर जाता, that is when depolarization occurs, right? At one point, what will happen is, when repolarization is occurring, potassium starts coming in, right? Along with potassium, chloride will also come in. GABA influenced channel रहता है, GABA बोल के एक receptor रहता. गाबा एक न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर रहता, उसको कन्फर्म होता हुआ एक चैनल रहता, GABA का receptor. That GABA receptor, whenever it is stimulated, it will open a chlorine channel. That GABA related chlorine channel, whenever it opens, it will further repolarize the neuron. Or to put it in another way, as soon as chlorine channel opens, action potential will not be generated, or action potential stops. Okay, it will try to make sure that polarization does not happen. It will try to polarize the sorry it will try to polarize the neuron again, so as to make sure that it is ready for the next action potential. But during the time when GABA is involved and when chlorine channel is open, action potential cannot be generated. Think of it this way. When sodium channel is inactivated, sodium gate voltage gated sodium channel, I told you it can be in three states. It can be either open, it can be closed, or it can be inactivated, right? Now, whenever your sodium channel is inactivated, think of it as the same as when chlorine channel opens. जब भी chlorine channel open होता है, action potential will not be able to generate. ठीक है? Chlorine will start coming in and it will start balancing out the potassium that is present inside your neuronal membrane to a certain extent. ठीक है, उसका stimulation बाद में चले आता, but in any case, whenever you have GABA getting involved, GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter. So whenever it wants to inhibit the generation of action potential, that GABA is released, it will go and attach to the GABAergic receptor present on your neuron, and it will stimulate the influx of chloride, because of which action potential stops. In any case, here what phenytoin does is, phenytoin will essentially stop sodium channel recovery. Now, initially your sodium channel is closed. Whenever there is a stimulus, it will open. Okay, sodium ions will start rushing in, and at one point, that is when depolarization is occurring. And when you reach the top of depolarization, generally what happens is, this sodium channel, voltage gated sodium channel जो है, this will change into inactivated state. Okay, meaning it will not be able to, it is not exactly closed per se, but it is inactivated. It will not let sodium to enter into your neuron anymore, and at that point of time there is absolute refractory period. So as long as your sodium channel is in inactivated state, there is no chance that another action potential can be generated. As this voltage starts going down, this is when you will have absolute refractory period, wherein no matter what kind of stimulus you get, you will not be able to generate another action potential. As it starts dipping down, you will start going to relative refractory period, you go into hyperpolarization, and slowly it will come back to a state wherein your resting membrane potential pe aa jata, wherein if there is another impulse, sodium can come in and it can depolarize your neuron. Phenytoin will essentially block the sodium channel in an inactivated state. Okay, it will delay sodium channel recovery and it will block that sodium channel in an inactivated state, because of which what will happen is the recovery of that neuron. अब आप अगर सोडियम चैनल को इनएक्टिवेटेड स्टेट में रोक दिए, so essentially you are blocking the neuron in this state. One second, you're blocking the neuron in this state. Okay, you're blocking the neuron in an absolute refractory period. If that neuron, or the if that sodium voltage gated sodium channel is not able to convert from inactivated to close, there is no chance that an action potential can be generated. Okay, because you're not giving it a chance altogether. Inactivated statement, even if that channel is open, let us suppose this is your sodium channel. Initially this is the closed end. ठीक है, ऐसा क्लोज रहता है ये completely. Once again, ठीक है, this is how it will be closed state. यहाँ पर let's suppose there is a protein. When it is opening, what is happening is, यहाँ पर थोड़ी जगह बन रही, and from here sodium channels are the sodium ions are being influxed, they are coming in. Inactivated state happens when this is open, but this fellow is blocking that channel. क्या करता है, ऐसा ब्लॉक कर देते हैं. This is inactivated state. So even if sodium channel tries to enter, let us suppose this is a sodium ion that is trying to enter, it cannot pass through into the neuron. Your phenytoin will essentially block that receptor, block those voltage gated sodium receptors in this state. And as a result, during the period of time when phenytoin is acting on the neuron, you cannot develop any action potential. And as a result, especially in case of seizures, it will be able to stabilize your neuronal membrane. Repetitive action potential generate नहीं हुआ बोले तो obviously your neuronal membrane will stabilize, ठीक है. And you'll be able to treat, not treat, at least manage epilepsy for a period of time, ठीक है. One thing that you need to understand about epilepsy is that epilepsy is a disorder in which generally the treatment takes anywhere in between 1 to 5 years, ठीक है. The treatment of epilepsy can go on for a long period of time. There will be patients who recover from epilepsy. There are patients who have recovered from epilepsy, and because of certain triggers they might develop it again later on in their life. Especially there will be kids who have epilepsy as a kid, and they might have taken the treatment of epilepsy as a kid, and they got treated with it, they got cured by it, from it, and later on, because of, let's suppose, some head trauma or emotional trauma or whatever during their lifetime, later on in their adult life, they might develop epilepsy again. So that can occur, rare cases, but it can occur. But generally treatment of epilepsy goes on for a long period of time. Keep that in mind, okay. Now I hope you understood the mechanism of action of phenytoin. Simple है बहुत. उन्हें क्या करता है, जाके voltage gated sodium channel को inactivated state में रोक देता, because of which sodium cannot influx into your neuron, and there is no chance that action potential can be generated. In seizures, the main problem is that there are erratic multiple action potentials that are being generated. Again and again action potentials are being generated, and the neuron is being overstimulated. You're simply stopping that stimulus altogether by using phenytoin. ठीक है. We'll continue with the rest of anti-epileptics tomorrow and day after tomorrow.